Welcome, everyone, to another Games Talk Live podcast. I am your host, Jay Fonzarelli. Along with me, of course, every week is Hargeet. Shawnee, what's up, Hargeet?
Hey, how's it going? Another
Oh,
week, a lot of
man.
little news items.
Yeah, a lot of little stuff to talk about this week. Nothing grandiose, but there's a little bit a controversy here and there, but well, we'll get through this stuff very easily because what do we have to hide from it anyway? We don't have to hide from anything. We weren't saying things that weren't true or whatever. We've been saying this stuff was going to happen, but we're going to talk about it. And but first, I want, of course, like we do every week, Hargeet, what have you been doing this week? What have you been playing? And yeah, let us know.
It's mostly just been Doom: The Dark Ages, which I'm slowly but surely getting through. It's one of those games. I don't know what it is about it, but I can do a chapter and then I need to take a break. I don't know why, but it's just kind of that kind of game for me.
You know, I'm
And
playing it
so,
too, and I'm with you. I was just saying this to some friends today. I don't think, and this is a me problem. I don't think I'm the biggest Doom fan.
I'm not
Um,
either. Yeah,
I
I'm
think
liking
this
the
game.
game,
No,
but
it's not a bad game at all. What I'm saying is though that for me, I'm having a hard time getting into this one. I think I like Eternal better.
okay.
Uh, I liked the way the gameplay loop of that game better than this one. Usually I could say like I like the parries and stuff in a game.
Yeah.
This one not so much. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what are you feeling about the gameplay loop so far?
I kind of like it. I actually gave up on Eternal quite early. I played that maybe for like an hour or two, and I'm like, whatever. I played a little bit more of Dune 2016. I also didn't finish that one either. But this one seems more like it's maybe it's just the way it's structured. It just feels like you have more options to do things the way you want to, and so it's like, okay, I get to play it the way I like, and I'll just continue through it. Don't care about the storyline. It's okay, whatever. There's a passable story there. But it's more just about going around finding stuff. It is more like, there's stuff to go find in different areas, which is kind of cool, right? So you can go discover and then also just go through the
Yeah,
levels and finish them up. So I'm kind of enjoying that piece, right? It's just kind of like a maybe mini Ubisoft type thing where you can go around the area and like find stuff, and then also just complete the main objective of killing all the bad people, whatever. But so it's good enough. I don't know. There's something about the Eternal. I think I don't know. It just kind of bored me for some reason. I don't know.
hmm.
I know a lot of people liked it a lot, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I've been playing Doom as well. I stopped playing GTA 5, by the way, the enhanced
Oh,
edition,
okay.
and one of the reasons why is it won't stop crashing on me.
Oh
I
no.
I can't get it to stop crashing. Um,
Is it the mods or
so
something?
no. So okay, so originally I had mods and stuff on it. So I decided, I read somewhere on some Reddit forums that GTA 5 is kind of finicky when you add mods and
Okay.
stuff. Like it's sometimes it just doesn't play nice with certain configurations of your PC. Like that, it's a whole thing. So I took off all the mods and I did a fresh install and it didn't help. I'm still getting
Wow.
crashes. Like I mean, sometimes it could be 2 hours in, sometimes it could be 10 minutes in. And the problem with that is the way GTA 5 saves is like it saves after a mission completes. And let's say I complete a mission, but it doesn't go through the whole dialogue sequence yet. It doesn't save. And then I crash and I lose all my progress. I get so pissed off. And it did that to me several times where I had to redo missions. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing
Wow.
this. So, uh, and then I looked it up, and apparently lots of people are going through it with the enhanced edition right now after a recent patch. I guess there was a patch 6 days after it launched or something, or and people are saying after that patch it started crashing more. So
Wow.
I'm just going to give it a break. If they fix it, I'll go back to it for sure because it's really pretty. It's beautiful, even on its own. It looks really good for a very old game, like 10-year-old game, 12-year-old game actually.
12-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I stopped playing that and I went to Doom, and I think I'm on the 5th chapter right now. I don't know how many chapters there are, but I think I just beat the 4th. I got past like that Titan mission and everything. Um, I like it, but like you, I have some trouble like playing long sessions of this game.
Yeah, right.
Like I'll play one chapter, stop, one chapter, stop, and I don't know what it is, because I did really enjoy Eternal a lot. And one of the things I've noticed is it feels slower. Believe it or not, like the character moves fast and everything, but it seems like everything else around you is like slower. And I sped it up, the gameplay, to 150%. I maxed it out to get more of a fast paced feel. And I like it better that way, but I don't like the way you melee more than you shoot in the game. Kind of irritates me a bit. Like, it's like, okay, I've got to block this, parry that, go hit him with this, and then shoot. And then it's like your guns don't do enough damage to certain monsters. You have to actually go melee them. And I'm not that fond of that feature. I don't want that again in the next Doom, personally. I don't know if others outside are complaining about that. I know that's how I feel about it. But it's not a bad game. Like I said, it's a good game. It's just it's not for me. I should say. It's the nicest way to put it. But I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna complete the game. I'm gonna go through the whole thing, because again, it's still a good game. It's solid for what it is, and I could boot it up, play it during a party chat or whatever, and it's not a big deal because there's no heavy narrative there or anything. One thing I will mention that happened this week, because sometimes I'll bring up stuff that happens in my daily life outside of gaming during the intro here. But you were on with me Wednesday night, party chat. You and Colt were on with me. We were both playing Grand Theft Auto, I think, and during my playthrough, I was like, "Holy shit!" and I yelled, and you guys were like, "What?" And I told you, where my monitors are set up here is right in front of my front window. And I can see skyline right over my monitors. And I happened to be looking up and I saw this great big blue ball of light streaking through the sky. And it wasn't that high up. It was probably about 100 yards up, if that. And I thought at first, is this a drone?
Wow.
I thought, is this a drone? And then
Yeah.
I thought, is this like a meteor? And all this stuff happened really fast in my mind, but I noticed there was no tail, so it wasn't like a fireball or anything, and it was bright turquoise. And it disappeared within 4 seconds. And I'm not talking about across the skyline. It didn't just disappear because it got far away. It's like it just turned off the lights, disappeared within 4 seconds.
Wow.
And I jumped up and ran outside to try to see if there was more of it or whatever. Nothing else happened. And I was telling you at the time, I was like, I didn't see anything else, but damn, I started researching it. I had my kids in the other room laughing at me because I'm like, oh man, I just saw this thing. And they're like, didn't believe me. And I'm like, I'm telling you what I saw. A ball of turquoise blue light was right there, and it just streaked across the sky and just turned off. And I was like, wow. That's my third UFO sighting of all time, by the way. Third.
Wow.
And I have to say that one was pretty cool because I've never seen something like that. A ball of light like that. And it was bright turquoise, man. I'm telling you, it was, I never seen something like that before.
Yeah.
Boba Fett Gaming said it was a Dreamcast guy thumbnail. What?
Oh, wow.
Oh man, it's just weird. And some people are like, "Stop eating shrooms." No, I was on nothing. I don't drink. I don't do drugs, people. I'm a very sober guy. I'm high on life. I may, be hyperbolic and crazy at times, but it's nothing to do with drugs or alcohol. That's all my effed up brain. But I know what I saw. Crazy. Just wanted to put that out there. If anybody's seen anything like that in the chat, let me know. It was crazy.
Pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, pretty weird. Because usually with a fireball, even there's been blue fireballs caught on video in the sky, but they have a tail. There's a trail. and there was nothing like that. It was a solid, like, it was just a blue beam of light, like ball of light. Just, it was crazy. Anyway, that aside, we've got some gaming topics to talk about. First up, let's talk about everybody's favorite developer, Randy Pitchford. He's in the news, Hargeet. He says that if you want to buy Borderlands 4, you're going to find a way to buy it if it's $80. And it just rubbed people the wrong way.
It wasn't even that nice. Like the way he said it was pretty.
I know it wasn't really nice. And then he had more to say. And I actually have video of him talking about the possibility of this becoming $80. Here, let me boot it up here.
I don't give a fuck.
Oh, wait, that's not it. That's the wrong one. That's not Randy Pitchford. Sorry. That's Beetlejuice. But that's basically what Randy wanted to say. He don't give a fuck.
All right. What will the game's price be? That's an interesting one. I don't know this.
Really now? I'll tell you the truth. I don't know. And that is the truth. I'll hit it. I'll hit it straight on. And it's an interesting time, right? We've got the on one level, we've got a competitive marketplace where people want to, or the people that make those choices want to sell as many units as possible, and they want to be careful about people that are price sensitive. So there's some folks that don't want to see prices go up, even the ones deciding what the prices are. There's other folks accepting the reality that game budgets are increasing and there's tariffs for the retail packaging, and like, it's getting gnarly out there, you guys. Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget than Borderlands 3. More than twice. The truth is, I don't know what the price is going to be. I do know that we will be opening pre-orders soon, TM, and that will be when the price is set. I think that Borderlands 4, here's the philosophy we have. Whatever the price is, we're entertainers. Yes, we want to get more resources so we can make bigger and better games. There's a reason why Borderlands 4 is so awesome. It's because you guys showed up and supported Borderlands 3. And we had the budget, so we could more than double the budget and feel confident in that. And that's awesome. When the revenue comes in, we can spend it to make bigger games and better games. As artists, we want everybody to have it. You know, we want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to enjoy what we're creating. So it's a weird thing, but the fundamental philosophy is we want people to buy it so we have the resources to make more, but we want everyone who buys and plays a Gearbox game to feel certain that they got the better end of the bargain. Whatever the price is, that they got the best value. And that's the philosophy that we live by. And so we're going to have a price set soon, and it might be the new price that like Nintendo and Microsoft have led with. It might be that we say back. It's going to be the people at the publishing house that decide that. And if it is cheaper, then maybe we'll sell you that mini map that you guys want. We'll develop later. How bad do you want that? $10? I don't know. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I don't know if you're probably behind a bit, Hargeet, on your end, because you're probably watching it live. I have no way to play that for you live and play it for. I don't know how to do that, but I've got to figure that out. But I don't know what part you got to. He must have been talking about it being $80 on Nintendo and Xbox were ahead, probably somewhere around there or whatever, with the $80.
Yeah, it just finished, so yeah, I got the whole thing.
Yeah, so what do you think about this? The chat is saying it. It sounds like he's just trying to make a case for $80 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely it's going to be that, right? And he does not control it. It's obviously the publisher that controls it, and Gearbox is not owned by Take-Two, so Take-Two will be the publisher, and they will, unless Gearbox wants to still continue to publish. I think they did publish for a little bit. I don't know if that kind of rescinded when they were bought by Embracer, so I don't know where they are with that. But my guess is it's Take-Two that's going to publish this game, and if it's Take-Two, then it's up to Take-Two, whatever they decide. So he's not going to have any say in that. But I think you're right. He's kind of hinting that it's likely they might be having those discussions as to, hey, this is what we're going to do internally, right? And being one of the heads of the studios, he's probably informed, right? So it's probably going to be that, right? But we'll see. I just like the tweet. I think it was a tweet, right? That was not very well done as far as him telling people that hey, back in 1991 I
Oh,
made it happen, so if you wanted to buy this, you're gonna make it happen. It's like, dude, just stop.
and then him talking about
But
like the tariffs and stuff. It's like, bro, what are you
yeah,
talking about?
whatever.
We've already learned that even PlayStation is 80% all digital now. Nobody's buying that
I think it
physical
was
copy
88,
of
wasn't it? So something ridiculously high, but
nobody's
yeah.
buying that physical copy of Borderlands 4. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
But yeah, I mean, look, as far as the cost, it probably will be $80, right? There'll also probably be a super duper deluxe edition, obviously, right? So we'll see, whatever. But like, if you don't like $80, it's a good chance to say don't buy it, right? Just don't
Yep.
buy the game at $80. Wait until it's on sale. That might be one of the things, by the way, hampering Doom, right, as far as sales, because even though the numbers are good, there's a lot of players, but the players are probably a lot of them are Game Pass, and as far as sales, it might be that, hey, this is the first time it's $70. Doom is I think we talked about that last week, right? That Doom numbers weren't good on Steam.
Yeah, and I believe the
It's
last
first time, it's
Borderlands 3
$70,
was
so
60. So
60 exactly.
jumping
So
up 20
we're
bucks.
now seeing the $70 and now the $80, and it's like, well, dude, at some point that is going to hamper sales. We know that, right? We've seen it across the gen as $70 games came out, that sales volume went down, right? Sales revenue might have gone up for certain titles, even with the volume of units going down. But that doesn't help everybody, right? A lot of companies, it's $70 is too high an entry point. They're like, I'm not even going to bother with your game, right? Some games they'll just wait for a sale, but a lot of games they'll like, I'm not even going to bother, right? $70, and then you just lose interest later on, right? It's like, yeah, whatever, right? That kind of thing can hurt, right? And we're seeing a lot of studio closures, a lot of things breaking because of that. So $80 is interesting. Now this game did sell pretty well. Borderlands 3, 20 plus million units. So maybe it's okay, right? They'll maybe hit some sales volume decline, but maybe revenue wise it is better, right? We'll see. But this is the first big, like, Mario Kart doesn't really even count, right? Because it's bundled with the freaking console. And let's just face it, I'm sure the majority of the consoles that Nintendo's selling, it's the bundle deal, so they're gonna get a ton of
Yeah,
freaking
and
sales
plus Hargeet, their games
so
sell no matter what. Their games sell.
yeah, exactly, right. So it's really these kind of games where it's like you have a choice. Are you gonna buy this versus the rest of the fall lineup? What do you plan to do, right? And will you pay the $80, right? And or will you find something cheaper? It's gonna be interesting to see, right? So we'll see how it goes. These are publisher decisions, right? I hope it doesn't hurt the game. I hope Borderlands 4 is good. I like the Borderlands series, so hopefully it'll be a good game.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, I was excited for this game, but once I saw that $80 price tag, I was like, I'm waiting for a sale. So I do think that, like we talked about last week, $80 games are going to hurt sales. They will, for sure. People are going to be more selective. You've got people in my chat saying it, people online saying it. They're just going to wait for a sale on this game. Boba Fett Gaming says, I'm not touching it launch day. And I don't blame him. I'm not either. Thomas Pena said that
plenty of other games, right?
Yeah, and
plenty of other games.
Yeah, Thomas Pena said that if you're a real gamer, this is what Pitchford said. If you're a real gamer, you'll find a way to buy it. So crazy. Randy. Cult Classic Cage with a 5. Thank you very much, Cassie. She says, Randy lied his ass off when putting Borderlands 3 on EGS exclusive. Also, 2K can make $150 million. He will say any dumb fucking thing to justify plans. Yeah, it's the way it seems.
I think it did. That's right. It launched in Epic, right? That was how they did that.
Epic Game Store.
Epic Game Store. And then eventually came to Steam. Yeah, look, that's Epic's thing. They were trying to get traction. It hasn't really worked, from what I understand. Steam is still by far the preferred choice. And Epic hasn't really gained a lot of market share. But whatever. If it's working, it's working. I don't know. I'm not. I'll leave it to them to figure that out. It is better to just launch everywhere, and I think that's what generally what Xbox does. It says we'll give it to both, right? We're not going to exclusively launch it in Epic, but we'll give it to both. And if Epic gets some sales, great. If it doesn't, whatever, right? But they're going to put it on Steam like day and date. And I think that's just a better thing. Just put it everywhere. Who cares? Like if people like Epic, they'll buy it there, right? Like whatever. But Epic wanted to try to get like the enticement, right, to get people onto their store.
Yeah, but there,
It hasn't
you know,
really
like
worked.
we were talking about last week, like I don't believe that all AAA games should be set at one price and all AA's set at one price. I think it should depend on, you know, variables, you know, of course, how much the production costs were, plus, you know, what the game has to offer, you know,
Yeah.
itself. And I think when I look at a game like Borderlands, that franchise, I see that at being at a $60 value. I'm sorry. I see most games being there. Most AAA's, in my opinion, should be
Yeah, that
about
one's
$60.
it's got a lot of content. I'll say that, and it's a 300 million budget. And Borderlands games generally tend to be long enough to make it worthwhile. It is harder to justify when it's like 12 hours and you pay 70, $80 for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, I'm
hold on.
jaded because I believe that all
So-
AAA games should be $60. I don't think they should be 70, but
That's a
just me.
fair assessment, right? That's fair. But that, that's market dynamics.
Yeah.
But as far as if you wanted to say, hey, some game is worth it more so than another, I would say something that gives you over 200 hours of gaming. Okay, fair, right? If it's costing you 200, 300 million, 400 million, okay, to make that game, then maybe it does justify it. But I hate the idea of justifying any of it. I really would prefer that it's just all, and 60 seemed to be a good spot because it seemed to be good for sales and good for volume, right? So it worked out pretty well. They got a lot of, enough revenue out of it and a lot of sales as far as units. But 70 has shrunk it a bit, and I don't know if it's like industry-wise, it looks like it's failing. You see a lot of studios shutting down, right? So
that's the way I look at it. And then other companies, other big companies have reported that they've made more profits, even though they've sold less copies of their games because of that $10 jump. However, I think that only works. You still need to sell X amount of copies. Right? And I think a lot of these games that have failed those companies that are defunct now. They're gone. There's whole studios just gone.
Yeah.
Cult Classic Cage, thank you for the 2. She says, Gearbox hasn't made a good game since 2012. Wow. She's really going for the jugular. I did like Borderlands 3. I played a bit of it with friends, and I actually got into it, and I was looking forward to Borderlands 4. It's just $80 is asking way too much for that franchise, in my opinion. That's me. Like, you know, they chose to spend $300-something million on the budget, and it's like, okay, if that's jumping up double what you spent on Borderlands 3, what the hell are you giving us there that's double the money? Like, I can't see it. First of all, it looks the same. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see when it comes out. But I know definitely people are going to be waiting on this. And I think the way Randy had handled the situation was just poor. And then he tried to, you know, do his best to try to seem like the nice guy and stuff on stage, but it just didn't work. It doesn't work.
Which was probably PR coming to him saying, "What are you doing?" Because look, now he's not an independent studio, right? They got bought by Embracer, and then now Take-Two, and at that point, like Take-Two's stock depends on not having stupid ass shit like that out there, right? You don't need to be putting that kind of thing out there. So it's. I'm stunned that he even is allowed to post like that. I would have expected him to be, you know, trained up. Hey, you're ahead of a major studio at Take-Two. Here are the guidelines of what you can and cannot post, online because of company policy and the potential to hit our stock. Right? You just can't do this. It's very normal in most companies. They have these like trainings that you have to go through this. If you ever do anything social, here are the guidelines. You must not do this, unless it goes through our PR team, right? It's like you can't do it. And he's ahead of a studio. Like I can't imagine that hasn't happened. I'm confused as to why that was allowed to go through. But that's probably what this is. That was probably the response. It's like you need to go and talk about this and say these things. Like do not ever like do something stupid like that again. So like I don't know, that's very shocking to me. I'd be stunned if like Take-Two doesn't have that kind of training they're like 40-50 billion dollar company.
Yeah,
Like, dude,
most
you
companies
have to.
do, especially when you
have
have
to.
that many investors. You have to have that kind of
Exactly.
training. Because nowadays it seems that, and it's unfortunate it's this way, people, but it always comes to the company, investors, and then the consumer that they give a shit about. And honestly, it should be the consumer first, but it's not. It's always investors, and it sucks. Like it sucks. It has to be that way. Boba Fett Gaming. I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 definitely is a Game of the Year contender. I loved Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That said, I think Expedition 33 beats it, but that's just me.
It's an interesting year. There's a lot of good games,
There,
right?
yeah,
And
there's
we'll see what happens. We still
I
have
think
a whole half a year to go.
yeah, I think this year definitely has been the best year for this generation so far for me, when it comes to certain games. And most of the games that I find really good this time around are from smaller studios. They're not these big giant conglomerates like these big corporations. It's these smaller studios that are coming out with the best games, and rightfully
And
so. It just proves a point. And at a discount, you're not having to spend $80 to
40
play
bucks, 50
Expedition
bucks, right?
33.
Yeah.
$50 was a
One of
damn
the
good
things,
deal.
Pons, is now you need to shift your mindset because you're not a console gamer anymore, right? You're a PC primary. So
Primary,
that
yeah.
whole generation thing is over. It doesn't matter. It's just, do I have games? There's no generation now.
True, but I still see new games. I still suffer from
Yeah, exactly,
FOMO
right?
to a certain degree. But I will say though, there's games like, for instance, Death Stranding 2. I'm going to wait for that on PC. I'm not going to play it day one on PlayStation. And one of the reasons why is I think that game, and I've seen a lot of people say it too, and they're not wrong. You have to be in a certain mindset to play Death Stranding. And it's a very specific type of game that you have to like that gameplay loop to really get into it. Because honestly, like the story's convoluted, it's crazy. There's some nonsense thrown in, but the gameplay loop can be fun. I had a good time with Death Stranding, but because I just played it, I've kind of got Death Stranding fatigue. I have to wait. I can't play that right away. Like I'm not in the mindset to play another Death Stranding game. I'm just not. So I'll wait a year from now or whatever when that game hits PC. I'll be ready for it, and hopefully have a good time like I did with the first one, and not know what happens in that story because it's just full of nonsense and just yeah, it's weird. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, Layer Cake said exactly. You can't brute force it. Yeah, for sure. So that said about Randy Pitchford, like honestly, the guy is he's unlikable. Many people just dislike this guy, and I can see why. I mean, he just gives off that freaking just energy that you don't want to be around or whatever. And I just don't want to see the guy. And I'm sorry to subject my audience from that video there of him, but I wanted to show you what he had to say in his own words. Hargeet, let's move on. Let's talk about this one. This one is a pretty big topic for the week. It's something that you and I knew about for a long time. I mean, everybody should have known. Hellblade 2 was announced for the PlayStation 5, Hargeet. This time
wow,
with
shocking.
enhancements to the game. So,
Yep,
no word on
which they
what
haven't
those
detailed yet, right?
What's
Yeah,
that?
They haven't detailed it. They haven't
No,
detailed
no
that,
details. No details on the
Yeah.
enhancements.
Be
But
nice
we
to
can
know what that is.
speculate on those. But first, what do you have to say about yet another Xbox game going to PlayStation?
Are we shocked? I mean, like, shouldn't we expect this? I mean, I'm expecting to hear, Starfield go over,
Yep.
maybe even at June showcase timeframe, with the DLC announcement or something like that, or maybe later, but whatever. I think that's gonna go over. And then like, would we be shocked to hear Halo Master Chief Collection going over? I wouldn't be. So like, is there really any like expectation that like games aren't just gonna go there? Like it's just it is what it is. Especially Hellblade. Hellblade 1 was an exclusive on PlayStation, right? Why would you not want Hellblade 2? Like, if you have a reason to bring it there, why wouldn't you? This is perfect, right? So, like, why wouldn't you bring it there? It makes sense. So it had whatever is a year or 2 years, whatever exclusivity, whatever. But like this is just normal now, right? We should just
Yeah.
expect it. Xbox is bringing their games to other platforms. I'm also interested to see if it comes to Switch 2 at some point. It probably could. I think it can make it there. It might be a little gimped, but like because I don't think UE5 have they really done a UE5 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One yet?
No.
Have all of-
Yeah. Was no, that wasn't. I was going to say Wukong, but no, that definitely wasn't. It was PS5.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting
Yeah,
to
I
see if
don't think-
UE5 makes it onto Switch 2, right? Because what we're seeing, this is all speculation because we haven't really actually seen the device in full performance yet, is that it's really kind of a PS4. That's kind of what it is, right? The Switch 2. So if it's really in that power range, is it going to be able to handle UE5? Because it does have DLSS, right? Let's just give it that little bump up that it has that. So if it's going to be able to do it, that would allow these kind of games to go over. So we will see. We will see if they can bring these kind of games over there or not. Or is it really going to be kind of older gen games that are going to move over there? But yeah, I mean, I fully expect to see other stuff going on to PlayStation and to Switch. And right, I'm expecting. We haven't really seen the big barrage of Xbox games that are going to Switch 2. I expect to see a massive amount of that, right? So I don't know when they're going to have their fall lineup for a Switch. That should tell us, hey, here's a bunch of stuff coming over, including Call of Duty, which is contractually required, right? So we should be seeing all these things. And so this is not. Is it surprising to anybody that Hellblade 2 is going
no,
over to
not
PlayStation?
anymore.
Like I don't.
So there's a video that the Sony guys love to play of me on Gaz's show when I'm talking about the comments from the CFO when he was interviewed, and he was saying they'd like to put more games on other platforms. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen with their exclusives. They're not putting them out there. But as soon, and I was wrong, and I came out and I said I was wrong about that. But I didn't do it until I heard Phil Spencer talk about sending 4 games. Remember when that happened? After that, he was like, oh, we're just going to send 4 games. And when he said that, I said right away.
Oh, it was bullshit, right?
But I said right away, I said, it's not going to be just 4 games. Expect the whole slate, people. It's happening. The CFO guy was telling the truth. I was wrong in that video, but you still get people that bring up that video today. And it's just dumb because I've told people back then I was wrong about that. But at the end of the day, it's like, as soon as he said those 4 games were going elsewhere, Phil Spencer, I knew. And that's why I did my thumbnail the way I did. I have Phil Spencer laughing behind a big giant PlayStation 5 with all their freaking exclusives walking towards it, because honestly, that is what's happening. Whether it's on day one or later, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. Yes, Gears is going to PlayStation. Yes, Halo is going to PlayStation.
No, right? It's already announced.
All these games are coming to PlayStation, and it's just you got to deal with it. It's just that way.
Andrew already announced, right? The new one?
I see Andrew in the chat, and he's Andrew. You can talk and not be so condescending to people and stuff in the chat, man. Like, yes, we know some Xbox fanboys were really bad about digesting this news and games going to PlayStation, but at the same time, man, there's still people. We don't need to just be an asshat in here. I don't know. It just comes off very condescending and everything. The way you're speaking, it's odd. But yeah, definitely. But yeah, Hellblade 2. Honestly, I first heard about this from Gaz back in November. Gaz said that he had a friend, and I know this friend has a source, a real legitimate source that said he saw this game running on PlayStation hardware. And so he knew it was coming. And so Gaz told many people this, and a lot of people ran with it. I don't go run to my videos or this podcast and tell people, hey, this is happening. I have a source, because I don't have direct sources. I've rarely ever had a direct source. So I don't like saying that. If I ever say something that I've heard, I always say this is from an indirect source, or I don't have a source. I preface it always, because I don't want to be that guy trying to be like, hey guys, I got sources. Because most of these guys, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to be an asshole here, but I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to mention any names. Most of the Xbox guys that puff their chest out and say they have sources have no fucking sources. I'll tell you that right now. They have no fucking sources. I know this to be a fact because I know where they get their information from. I know what people they get it from, and it's indirectly. It's never from a legit, straight up source. Now, there is a couple of people that in this community that do have direct sources, and I would trust them over anybody else, but that is who they get their information from. And then they love to spread it and say, I got sources, so they could be LinkedIn articles and stuff. And it's like, bro, that's not going to help your freaking channel out, your podcast out, anything. It really isn't. Okay. Because most of the time you look foolish because you might deliver something that could be true, but it'll take months or a year before this ever transpires. And all that time you look like a fool. Sure, you'll be vindicated a year later, but most people will just look at you and say, oh, you just threw something in the wall and it stuck later on and you're just trying to run with it. Like nobody's ever going to believe you regardless. So I just hate when people pretend to have sources, Hargy. It's my pet peeve in the community. I see it all the time. And it's like, you do not, sir. Stop. Because I've had people come to my DMs before and say, hey, I work for so-and-so, and I'd like to let you in on something. And I'm like, delete, block. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. And I know that there's people doing this to people in the community. And it's just, it's so dumb. One time I did that, though. I'll tell you this. This guy hit me up in a DM, and before I blocked him, I was laughing at it. I screenshot it, and I sent it to Colt. And Colt goes, that guy's legit, dude. That guy works for such and such. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize. And he goes, yeah, just click on his name. That's a legit freaking guy. And I was like, okay. So I answered that guy's questions and stuff. But anyways, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, most people don't have sources. It's weird. Anyway, but yeah, I fully expect them to announce Halo. We're already getting the Gears collection. E-Day will be there. If it's not day one, E-Day will be there a few months after, just like Indiana Jones. I think all those.
I kind of don't even like the idea of having it be staggered for a multiplayer game. If you're gonna do it, then just do it.
Right? I say just do it to make the most money you can out of it.
Well, and get the most engagement, right? Because if for a multiplayer game, you want as many players as possible.
For sure.
So it'd be better to just have it launch everywhere. But like, if you want to do it for something like South of Midnight and say, hey, it's staggered, who cares? That's fine. Whatever. Come later. Hellblade 2. Okay, fine. Whatever. Right. But if you want to do like a multiplayer game, unfortunately, I have to just go with the fact that it just makes more sense. Put it everywhere. You want to get as many players as possible. So if Gears E-Day comes out everywhere at the same day, that makes much more sense from a business perspective, anyway.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just looked at that blue number. Holly, thanks for being here, arguing with this guy, Andrew, in the chat. Yeah, that's the way it comes off for sure, Holly. But if you're just being sarcastic or trying to be funny, Andrew, like, you need to find another way or use some emojis there or something. I don't know. Anyways, we all know that nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right, Hargeet? Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And we also know that Oblivion, it was a massive success back in the day.
Apparently so.
I myself loved it, but apparently Elder Scrolls Oblivion, the remake or remaster, even though it's kind of leaning to the side of a remake, right? Sold. Apparently, it sold better in the first 2 weeks than the original game did in over a year. That is insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, Hargeet?
It's an interesting one, right? Because it's in Game Pass, right? So even with that, it didn't matter. This is unit sales, not player numbers. It was the top seller of the month or something like that, right? So that's pretty crazy. Was it third? No, I think it was the top seller of the month, right? And then third all time or something weird like that.
Yeah.
For the month of April, which is insane. That's a lot of sales. But like, I guess Oblivion has a recognizable name, and the enhancements were good enough that people wanted to go play it again. And maybe there are enough new players too. I don't know. This is just an interesting one. If it is just nostalgia, do people really want to go back and play that? Also, this was 50, 60. Was it $50? So it's cheaper if
50,
I remember
yeah.
right. 50, right? So, good price, good amount of change, and modernizing a game that was fantastic. For me, one of the better Elder Scrolls games. So, yeah, that's pretty good, and it seemed to do well everywhere, right, across the board. So that's a pretty good deal. It also says, hey, maybe Fallout 3, if they do that one, could look at similar numbers. It may not be as good, but it could look for similar numbers. So that's a good thing, and it's a good way to entice Bethesda to bring back other ones too. I really hope they do Morrowind. Please do Morrowind.
Yeah, I want them
I
to do
wanna
that too.
Morrowind.
Yeah, Morrowind needs it.
Let's do Morrowind.
That one is so
Um,
dated.
Yeah, so if they could modernize that, right? They did some mechanical changes, like the game mechanics changes in Oblivion. So I'm hoping they do that with Morrowind. That would be fantastic. Please do that. That would be awesome. And that way we can enjoy a game that was supposedly even better than Oblivion. With more modern game mechanics. So that would be a fantastic thing to do. I hope this just enforces that. Hey, those older games that were like masterpieces, they could be remastered, and you could get a boost in consumer engagement for those games. So that's fantastic news overall. It's interesting that it beat out other games. When did Expedition come out? Wasn't that April as well?
Yep.
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 So it beat out Expedition 33, which is supposedly a very high chance GOTY nominee. South of Midnight, but whatever. That's pretty small. Was it?
Yeah, Xbox had quite a
few.
few games selling well this
Yeah,
past
so they also put out
month.
Forza on PlayStation. Did
Forza
Indie come out in
Horizon
March or April?
5. Now, Indie came out in March, I believe, and I think Indie was the lowest selling one out of the bunch. I think it sold about 117,000 on PlayStation 5. But Forza Horizon 5's, the last I heard, it was at 1.5 million on PlayStation 5. And that's this month.
Respectable.
So
That's pretty good.
that's pretty darn good, yeah. So that's quite a big a chunk of sales there. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if they were to release these games day one, I think they would get more sales, of course. Like, when you put out a game, even 3 months later, if something else were to come out in that platform 3 months later, people will probably be playing something else and not buy that game that just came out from Xbox on that platform, because A, they might have a Series X, that they don't want to talk about, but they play on for day one games, or B, they just might think, oh, it's an older game. I don't want to play that right now. I've got these newer games out. And that's kind of the mindset I have at times. And I know it's wrong. Even if it's a game that's 6 months old, I sit there and I try to talk myself into playing it and saying, I should go play that game. I never played it. And in my head, I'm thinking it's old just because it's, it came out already. And I bypassed that day one. But no, I shouldn't think of games like that, especially nowadays. There's just a lot of good, especially AA games coming out right now that I need to go and try. There's a bunch of AA games that people have told me, hey, try to play this one, try to play that one. Cocoon's good. There's so many out there that I haven't tried. And I like some of the smaller AA games that I've tried before in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So, I should check them out. But good for Xbox for actually, finally getting some sales.
Well, I mean, they've been getting sales, obviously, because their revenue is pretty good on sales, and they have some of the biggest games out there.
No, but they even got some sales on consoles, apparently. Like, consoles went up last quarter.
That's true. Yeah, 8% year over year. Just
year over
year, right? Because they were declining, and so it now bumped up a little bit.
But then it's going to decline again now that the price is up. That's what I think.
Yeah, it might. It might.
I think
right?
it's going to go way down. Yeah.
We shall see, right? I don't even know if there's stock available, right? I think they've been holding stock because of the tariff thing. I think they've now hopefully are bringing things in now, and they'll have stock available. But yeah, so I don't know where that's going to be, as far as next month, the month after, or whatever. There's also just the reality of, hey, they're putting out a bunch of games that people might want to play. And at some point, that is usually the reason to actually delve into the the console. Now, normally at this point in the generations, it's usually cheaper to get in, not more expensive to get in. So that's kind of a disappointing thing for anybody who wants to
Yeah.
try to get in now. But yeah, normally like, hey, I wait a few years, I'll have a bunch of games that I actually want to play. Let me go buy the new console, right? And it's going to usually be cheaper, and you can bundle it with cheaper costs for the games that you want to buy, right? But yeah, it's not like that nowadays. You're paying more, so very odd. But it is what it is. So we'll see. I don't know if that's a trend that's going to continue or not. We'll see. But at least it is a positive instead of a negative. But yeah, on PlayStation Store there were top 5 out of 7 games, right? So out of the top 7, there were 5. Top 5 games were theirs. Not top 5, but 5 of the top 7 were theirs. So they're definitely doing well, right? On that side, they're doing well on their own side as well, with Game Pass as well. And Game Pass is showing growth for PC side, at least. I don't know if they're doing that on console, but they're showing growth in revenue on the Game Pass side, which is good. That's good stuff.
One thing I'm kind of just unsure on is the whole Doom success thing with the 3 million players call out. Because I've seen things stating that like it might have gotten about 2 million players on Game Pass and maybe sold a mil. And I'm thinking to myself,
2 million on console. We don't know how much of that is Game Pass, but I would assume a big chunk. It's going to be a big chunk.
Yeah,
Game Pass.
I'm just wondering though, like how well did this really sell for them? I know engagement is a big thing for these companies now. They're always talking about MAUs, but at the same time, like this is a single player game. I like look at gas games, successful gas games to be really the ones that they really want in their subscription services that have those have the longevity and have the microtransactions, and they get people to come and subscribe because they want to be on there playing this game for quite some time. But these one and dones, I hate to call them that, these single player games, I think that they rely more on sales than those multiplayer games and stuff. And I just don't know where, like, if I've said it before a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Doom and the low player counts on Steam. And I know, of course, there's Battle.net there also, and Game Pass, but I'm just wondering, like, if people are kind of just being more selective, or maybe there's a bit of Doom fatigue. I don't know, but I don't know. Face 23 BKNY with the 2 says Hi-Fi Rush also had 3 million players. Remember? Yeah, I know, and that was a much smaller game. But again, most of these numbers, these player counts, are due to Game Pass for sure.
Yeah, it's 3 million in, was it 4 or 5 days or something like that, right? That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it's going to end up at. Eternal sold like 6-ish million, I say, something like that. So it's not far off from its normal engagement. Maybe it'll get a bit more.
The one statistic people were throwing around was it grew in numbers 7 times faster than Eternal. However, Eternal wasn't in Game Pass day one. Eternal didn't hit Game Pass until 7 months later. So I'm like, of course, Doom: The Dark Ages would be 7 times faster. It's in Game Pass day one. Of course, people are going to try it out, because that metric too, like, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer with this, but I look at the metric for Game Pass, like players or whatever, is kind of like a grain of salt, because I could boot it up in Game Pass one time, turn it off, and I count as a player of Doom. So I don't know how to really gauge that, honestly, because I don't know how many people are going to play through this game or whatever. And again, it's not a bad game. I'm not saying that. It's just that it doesn't appear to be doing so well outside of Game Pass. Just doesn't appear that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's
and I don't know what that really means in the long run. We'll see, right? Maybe it'll, like, again, $70. It's possible that people will wait for sales, and
that's what I'm thinking.
You might just get a spike in the fall, right when it's holiday season, and hopefully it'll go on sale, and they'll pick up some more sales then, right? So because you'd want to see the numbers for Steam and PlayStation, and potentially if it comes to Switch, which it should be able to, Switch 2, right? So if it sells well on those, well, those are direct sales, right? So on the Xbox and on the PC side, it's tough to tell because of course there's still the PC Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
So unless you see Steam numbers, right, it's a harder
Yeah.
to gauge how much it sold. But
And I know some people naysay the Steam charts, but I think it's still a good barometer of how well a game is selling, not engagement, selling. And I think looking at it right now, it's still at 31K all-time peak. It usually peaks around that first weekend that a game comes out.
yeah,
Um, and I know like Expedition 33 had quite a bit, like 100 and something thousand. I forgot what it was, but it was doing really well in terms of sales. 144,000 was the all-time peak that weekend. But anyways, just like to see games do better, I guess. Anyways, speaking of games though, we just, as part of the Warhammer Skulls event that happened, I don't know if you saw that, Sega announced that it was going to remaster the OG Space Marine game.
yeah, that I know about. Yeah.
Okay, so according to Sega, the new remaster is being handled by Sneaky Box and will feature a 4K resolution, modernized controls, a complete UI overhaul, improved character models, and remastered audio. Are you a fan of the franchise?
I have not played Space Marine or 2, so
I played 2.
kind of cool that so it's kind of cool that 1 is going to be available again. Maybe I'll check that out first and then hop into 2. And it's coming to Game Pass, right? So it'll just be available to me. I'll just play it. So, but yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing. I assume Xbox kind of pushed for this because it's coming to Game Pass. Which then begs the question, why isn't it coming to PlayStation? But it's not. But yeah, so it's cool that it's being remastered. This isn't a remake, right? It's just a remaster. So cool. We'll see, right? These remasters, as long as you have new games to go with it, are fine. And Space Marine 2 did just come out. Was it last year, I think, right?
Yep.
Last fall.
Yep.
So cool, right? Hey, bring the old one up to speed. That's kind of cool. It would have been nice to do that ahead of time, though, but whatever.
I think Zocker told me that Space Marine 2 was a bit different from the original Space Marine. I guess Space Marine 2 is more like a horde mode type, gameplay, lots of hordes like that. And he said the first one's a bit different. So that could be a plus for me because I'm not a big fan of horde modes and stuff. I don't like those sorts of games, even though I enjoyed my time with Space Marine 2. I beat it, just ran through the campaign, had fun with it, but it just wasn't something that I love, I like more of a story-based single player game. If I'm talking about single player games, I like the good gameplay, and not just like hordes of enemies coming at me all at once. I'm not a big fan of that. It's just something I don't care for. But it's good that this is coming to Xbox and PC. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's coming out for PS5. And I wonder why that is. Do we know why?
Or Nintendo. Nintendo, for
what's
that
going
matter.
on with that?
I can speculate that this was done ahead of time, and there's a contractual thing with Sega to do this for Game Pass and Xbox, right? And of course, Xbox, everything comes to PC day and date. So maybe that is what it is. It could be there's some technical challenges in bringing it forward to PlayStation, but I don't know if I fully buy into that, right? Because if you're doing this again, all it takes is the dev kit, and you just put in the control, like the square, X, whatever, circle, whatever they have for their button things. That's all you have to do is change that out, and then use achievements. You change that out to trophies. That's it, right? It's like yes, there's some more complication than that, but it's like you don't have to take the PS3 version and move it over, which is what people are thinking is like the PS3 version would be tougher to, but you don't have to do that. You're doing it again. You're going to use the new dev kit, right? And you just push it out there. So I don't think it's specifically a technical thing. I think there's probably a contractual thing, or they just didn't have the time, and they're like, you know what, we'll just do this here and not bother there, or maybe do it later, right? And see if there's any value in even doing the port, right? Because Microsoft will require, if they're going to do it, they're going to say, no, we want it on PC and on console. So that's why it's going to be on Steam, right? And it's in Game Pass, right? So the Game Pass is probably funding this port. And then, from there is a question of, do you put it everywhere else? Now, again, this is probably all contracted well before they decided to do the whole multi-plat strategy. So maybe it's contracted that way, and they just never bothered to change it. Maybe it's like a 6-month exclusive, and it's like, okay, it comes over to the other ones later, right? So that's more like what I think it is. I like people talking about the PS3 version coming over. I don't think that's it at all, because you would just port it to PS5. There's no point in not bringing it there, and you would just get a PS5 dev kit and put it there.
PS3 version? Who the hell wants to play that?
Exactly, right? Because there's people were thinking, hey, the original was PS3, Xbox 360, right? And so they took the 360 version of it. No, it's a remaster, so it's going to be running on the new dev kits, right? So they're going to take the old code, whatever, and then just republish it, and they're redoing it in the new dev kit. And the new dev kit is for the Xbox One series consoles, and then the PS5, or maybe PS4 and 5, whatever, right? I'm sure it can potentially run on both, but I think it's coming to next gen only, right? Current gen only. So I don't see that being the limitation. I'm pretty sure they can put it there. So I don't see any issue with that. But I think it probably is just contractual. That's probably all it is. Or they just didn't have the time. And they're like, you know what, we can put it out over here now and we'll do it later over there. That's a possibility too. But I don't know. It feels more like it's a contractual thing. I see no other reason not to put it there. Given especially where Xbox is today, where they're like, no, multi-plat everything. Like, why wouldn't you want this everywhere, right? Like, let's put, especially like it's potentially co-op, right? I'm assuming it is. So why not have it be co-op everywhere? And I don't know if they had a multiplayer for Space Marine, as far as like a just open PvE PvP type thing. I don't know if they've had that at all, but at least if it's co-op, why not have it everywhere and have players of whatever like platform you're on play together? Like, so I'm assuming it's more contractual. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I'm thinking that it's got to be something to do with Xbox maybe helping with the funding of this project. It's got to be something like that, because it doesn't seem. And also, too, Space Marine, I think, just fits the Xbox platform best. Anyway, I think. It was traditional to be a shooter box. And, over on the PlayStation side, they were more of, the JRPGs and the single player, heavy narrative gaming, as of late. So I think it's probably a bit of both of that. They probably think that they could sell this better probably on Xbox. Or is it in Game Pass as well? Yes, it's in Game Pass. So that's it. They're getting a bag there in Game Pass as well. So they're doing well already. So it's a good thing for them. It's a win for them. Maybe they don't see creating a version for PS5 to be so lucrative. Maybe they don't think they're going to get many sales there for this type of game.
It's a possibility, but I like how well did Space Marine 2 do on PlayStation 5?
I don't know. It's
an interesting question to look into, but I don't know if that's it. I think it's just contractual. I think it's Game Pass funded this port, and they just contracted it in to say it's like a 6-month exclusive or something like that.
I'm sorry, I just have to stop you for a second. Andrew Wilkins, man, you say some of the dumbest shit. Like you literally sat there and asked Cassie Cage about what he said, what PC exclusive rivals the sales of console exclusive games, without even thinking. You've got things like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, so many games out there that are just exclusive to the PC platform that sell hundreds of millions of copies. And a lot of them are subscription based and have microtransactions on top. Like, I don't know what you're doing, Andrew, but Jesus Christ, man.
I don't think CSGO 2 has come over to console yet,
there's so many games that destroy every single freaking sale you've got on any console. There's more PC gamers out there than console players. What the fuck are you talking about? Cord Wainer, no, it's not a bad take. It's not, because he's wrong. You're wrong too, Cord. You're joining in the stupidity. God damn. Anyways, That's insane. Like,
Whatever. I
God.
mean, people want to believe what they want to
So
believe. Right?
dumb.
Like, but
So
it is
dumb.
what it is.
Plus, not only that, these console games he speaks of are also sold on PC, you fucking loser. I don't
There's that
understand
too.
you. You're such a goddamn troll. You know what? Goodbye, Andrew Wilkins. Goodbye. I don't know why I haven't done that to you sooner, because that's all you do here is just bitch and
Hang on, let me
moan
get my
and
water
call
bottle.
people names and just leave. Jesus Christ, man. Hargeet's going to get some water, so you're going to hear it and you're not going to be able to say anything back. You absolute loser.
I don't like going after
You
people with
lose!
whatever. I used to do that a bit,
You
and I'm
get
like, you know, it's probably not a good
nothing!
idea.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I had to just get rid of him. Because this is not the first time he's done it, Hargeet. Like, he comes in here and he acts all pretentious and thinks everybody's dumber than him and just sits here and just complains, Xbox fans this, Xbox fans that, you suck, you don't know this, you don't know that, what's better here, what's better? Get the fuck out of here with your dumbass questions. You're absolutely wrong. Yep. Anyways.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Colt said they're
Colt's in the
still
chat.
fighting the
Colt.
plastic war. Exactly, bro. Jesus Christ. Face. I understand you're bringing up some Nintendo games here and there, but I'm just telling you that Andrew is coming in here with the mindset that there's no PC exclusives that sell that many copies, and he's absolutely wrong. He's insane. And by the way, my PC says hello to emulation, so I don't need that. I don't need to buy it. Anyways, moving on. Now, okay, so let's talk about this. We've heard rumors for months, guys. The Steam OS is supposed to be part of the next Xbox console. The next platform they come out, or platforms, who knows? They could have some sort of handheld plus a box of some sort. But we're now hearing that there was an article that you sent me, Hargeet, that says basically everything is going to be developed around PC environments from now on.
Yep.
What exactly does this mean, Hargeet? Please explain as the more tech savvy person in the room.
Yeah, so as far as what they're seeing is the stuff that I've been predicting for a while. They're merging the Windows environment, and the beauty of that is that essentially when you're making the game right now, when you make a game for Xbox, you basically write it to the same development kit, and it as Windows. So, but you would then create it to the dev kit of Xbox and say, all right, I'm going to now make it work on the Xbox. So you're gonna have to tune it a bit there. There are specifics for Xbox, right? So they do that, right? So, but if you're publishing it on Xbox as a Play Anywhere title, you're putting it on the Microsoft Store, you're putting it on the Xbox Store. It's the same dev kit, and then you can use the same dev kit and create the version for Steam and for Epic and whatever, right? It's the same Windows dev kit, and that allows you to also publish to anything else you want to, right? So that's kind of how they put that together. If you move forward, you say, look, I'm going to nullify the need for you have to make it work on a Series S, you have to make it work on a Series X, right? It's just basically Windows, right? And there'll be a performance target like a Steam Deck, right? It has a certain performance characteristic. If you want to create a performance target, we'll certify it for it. Otherwise, it'll just work, right? It's up to the customer to figure out, oh, okay, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off, or go to a forum somewhere and I'll have, hey, if you do these settings, it seems to work at 60 pretty good. Here you go, right? 60 frames, right? Pretty good, right? Like just something like that. Which on the PC side, you're used to that, right? You're not Fonz, me and you both have a 4090, so we just say max everything. But most people who get like a mid-range card, they pretty much just say, I'll just look at some. Okay, this seems to be good. There's also just calculators that are kind of usually built into the game that'll kind of say, all right, I think this will work, and then you can tweak it from there, right? So on the PC side, they're used to it. They're basically just going to have something similar to that, but it takes away that barrier, right? So now it's like, hey, I don't have to make a version for a specific hardware device. and publish it, certify it, all that on that specific hardware. That's what they're kind of getting at. On top of that, I don't know if you saw the other ones. Steam seems to be happening. So the Steam integration is now happening within the Microsoft Store, which eventually would be the Xbox Store. So that integration seems to be happening. It's in some sort of alpha, test mode right now. So if that happens, now you have store portability as well, right? So your device can access games from the Epic Store or the Steam Store or the whatever store, which from a consumer perspective is way better, right? And you say, well, hey, Microsoft won't be able to sell. That's up to Microsoft to entice you by making the thing cheap enough, have enough functionality, something that makes it worth your while to say, I want to buy it on their store versus somebody else's store. It's just like Epic is trying to compete and say, we have a better thing than Steam. Do they or don't they? That's up to you as a consumer, right? You have to make that decision. But it's way better for us because they're giving us free games, right? We're getting the version we want on discount codes everywhere on the internet. Like, this is great stuff. So if you want to buy it on Steam, you can get it pretty cheap, right? They have Steam sales all the time. This is the stuff we want to see, right? Because that way, it's up to us as consumers.
Yeah.
We pick whichever store, pick wherever we want to get the game. Who cares? I just buy my game and play it. Ultimately, it comes down to what's the value for me as a customer, right? So this is a fantastic move if they do it. And from a consumer perspective, it's great. From an openness perspective, it's also great. It also pushes the industry forward where it's no longer a locked ecosystem thing. It's more of a, why do you want to be on this device versus that device? And entice the customer with capabilities on your device, right? And that way people will choose, hey, I want the Lenovo box, or I want the Asus box, or I want the HP box, or I want the Dell box, or whatever, right? Whoever makes the box. It's up to you because you say, hey, they have that one thing that I want. I'm going to go get that one, right? Whatever that feature is, that's up to you, right? So this is a much better world. And so that's basically what's happening here is it's starting to get into that realm. It basically is taking advantage of the superpower of Microsoft, which is Windows, right? They have that monopoly, right? And say, hey, let's take advantage of that and say, make the Xbox, which is already running Windows, we'll make that kind of merge a bit more. And now we don't have to tell the game developer, hey, you got to create this whole separate thing with a whole separate certification, with a whole separate. Here you go. Just put it in Windows. It's fine. We'll just take it from there, right? That is kind of where it's going. And we'll see how well they do it. It's always up to implementation.
Will it get rid of that whole Windows implementation thing, the WAP, or what is it?
UWP.
UWP.
Right? That is done. Yeah, that's done. But yeah, you're right. That is kind of the construct that's in Xbox. They're still using that, right? But as far as the Windows side of it, they don't do that anymore. So it's now open, but they still have some remnants of it.
Yeah,
So
see,
it's
that's my
annoying.
problem, because you know how we get like the same game in Steam as the Microsoft Store, but there's two different versions.
Yeah, there's some stupid lockdowns that they still have, and
Yeah.
it makes it harder to make like modifications and use mods and things like that, which is kind of annoying, right? Which is why people like Steam, right? Because you can just do whatever you want, right? You want to run any mod on it, no problem. You can just install the mods, do whatever you like. Not so much on the Microsoft side. You have the specific ones that may work, may not work. So it gets a little bit more annoying, right? So those are things. And again, if you can just use the Steam version, who cares, right? Go ahead and buy the Steam version and play it, right? That's kind of the beauty of it. So,
Yeah, I just want them to make one version and make it, and that's it. So that way, when we get the updates and everything goes out all at once. I hate this whole wait period that Xbox has before they get the update. Steam's always way ahead in updates and stuff for some of these games, and it just that stuff needs to stop, because that's what prevents me from wanting to play certain games within Game Pass as well, because I know that their version is not up to date in updates, or it's got even UI differences from the Steam version. That happens at times. And it's like, well, if you're not providing me with everything the game has now, why do I want to play it in your service at all? Like, so that they need to work that out, is what I'm saying. So hopefully this is something that is moving towards that direction. Having a box with everything in there like this. And again, even in that regard, let's say I had said box, I could choose where I wanted to play this game, where I wanted to buy it from, and which one I wanted. So it makes I don't know. It makes a lot of sense to just open up your products, people. Like these companies, I prefer an open platform over a closed platform. That's why I prefer. There's aspects of. I know you're going to hate me for saying this, Hargeet. There's aspects of Apple I do like with their closed environment, but then I love the aspects of having an open environment with Android. I think Android just has more for me, offers me more in terms of customizability, just going into the phone, changing things that I want to change and stuff like that. Like it makes more sense.
Yeah, but even Apple is now getting slapped for that. We'll see what happens with that whole thing, by the way, right? I think is Fortnite finally on there now?
Fortnite is on there
Fortnite
yet
finally
again.
back?
Finally, this week
Yeah,
it's
finally
put back on there. That
Yeah.
whole case that was going on against them, trying to get their 30% or whatever it was from the publishers. Now, I don't know how that is going in court. I don't know if it's finished. Have you heard anything on that?
Yeah, no, it is. Apple has to open it up. What they've been doing has been all kind of nefariousness to make it so it's undoable or not enticing to do it. And then they get slapped again, and so like the courts are also like, would you just stop? And so they're kind of just going back and forth. But like it is already decided that they have to open up their system and allow others, right? So this is the first step, and it'll keep going, and eventually, hopefully, it means there'll be other stores. Like the Epic Store will probably end up being there. Xbox is looking to put their store there, right? So there'll be other stores available that you can then leverage to purchase or install. At least games, if not other things. And as I was pointing out, I think this is really cool from an enterprise perspective, because if you could lock down and say, hey, this is the only store, there's like a store intended for enterprise apps only, and all the fluff is gone, right? Wow, would that be better for corporate devices? That you can just say, hey, this is locked down. You get your corporate device. It only has enterprise store apps. That's it. No chance for you to get crappy malware infested crap or some consumer thing where we're now getting your data and we don't want it, right? It's like, no. It's locked to enterprise apps. We're giving you a phone. It's locked to the stuff that so you can kind of do that with like lockdowns, but it's much easier when you just say this store guaranteed only enterprise apps, right? Much cooler. That would be a nice thing if somebody wanted to take that on, right? Hopefully we get to that level. But that is kind of the thing that it opens up, right? So, but this is it's gaming that's pushing it, but I think there's so many other applications for it that it would be very cool. But like you were saying, the closed ecosystem thing for Apple is also apparently gonna go away because that's just the way it is. It needs to be a platform. It needs to say I'm a good platform, but I'm not locking down all the other parts of it where anybody can come and do the stuff they need to do.
Yeah.
And that way it's more available as an open utility that anybody can leverage.
Yeah. Do you remember the hoops Microsoft had to jump through to get Game Pass running on iPhone?
Yeah, which it's not there, right? Or is it there?
It's there. I believe that you have to go through the browser. It's a weird system. It's not they couldn't have an app.
Yeah, because if you potentially bought anything like a subscription, you had to give a chunk of that over to them. It's like, well, no, hold on a second. Like that's not how it should work. So, yeah, that's the fun of it.
Yeah, true.
But hey, whatever.
So, I saw this article, and this wasn't one of the ones you sent me. It's one I was digging through, and I thought it was a bit fun. It talks about the most influential video games from each generation, starting from the 70s. Wow. Now, before I go through this list, they have several games, at least 2 in each generation up to today. And I think they've got it pretty spot on, Hargeet. But what I want to do here is I want to play along with the chat and just like, and you as well, Hargeet, I want you to tell me what you think is the most influential games. And you can name 1 or 2 from each generation. So if I give you guys the 1970s, what would you say, Hargeet?
That's going to be hard for me because I don't even remember. Like we're talking about like in television, ColecoVision. Is that what you're talking about? Or is it
and we're going back to arcade. We're going,
like Arkanoid and like, what else do we, like even Asteroids.
So this one's kind of hard. This one's kind of hard. But I will give you the most obvious. Pong. Pong was in the
Right,
70s.
right.
And the other
Yeah,
one was Space Invaders.
Was that 70s? Wow,
Yes,
Space Invaders. I would have
yes.
thought that was 80s, but okay.
So Bobby Hawk, he got Pong in the chat. He's
Yeah.
right. If I say 1980s, what do you think of immediately?
Well, there's so many, right? So like, there's a lot of arcade stuff that happened, and then you start getting into the Nintendo, and like Super Mario Brothers is probably one of the big ones.
Yes, that is on the
But
list. Super Mario Brothers is a big one. Now we're talking about most influential. That was a very influential game.
oh god, I mean, like, what would I pick as the other one? Like, to me, and it's just to me,
Bobby
it would
Hawk
be,
got one too. Pac-Man. And that's a
Pac-Man.
huge one for me.
That's a
Pac-Man was
it's a
the
big one.
catalyst for my gaming obsession. That was the catalyst. It was
Wow,
Pac-Man.
really? Just Pac-Man. But there's
Pac-Man.
so many others that were like, because Super Mario Brothers gave you kind of like a great platformer, and then Zelda gave you the adventure, action adventure, and I thought that was the other one for me. But Pac-Man, I can totally. This is the thing. There's so many.
There is.
When did Street Fighter come out? Was that like in the 80s as well? And then Street Fighter 2 was like the 90s?
No, no. It wasn't in the 80s.
I
But
thought
you're
Street
you're
Fighter
good.
1
You're
came
good
out.
at this, Hargy. You're good at this. So, on their list, they had Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, and The Legend of Zelda. All great. All great. Now, in the 1990s, guys, what would you say? It's the
I mean,
most
I gotta say
influential
Street Fighter
games.
2.
Street
It's
Fighter is on there,
that is,
Hargy. Street Fighter is on there.
it's
It's the
gotta
first
be.
one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be because it was such a phenomenon when it came out, in the arcades at least,
Street
and then
Fighter
it came
2.
out.
Yeah. It's Street Fighter 2 is on
So
there.
Street Fighter 2, I think Street Fighter 1 was an 80, but it
Late
was very
80s.
minimal, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah. It was Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter 2
2
that
that
really took off.
really pushed. Yeah.
Because then you got like the Mortal Kombats and like
Yep.
all that stuff just came out, right? It became a whole thing really because Street Fighter 2 took off. So I got to say Street Fighter 2. I want to say then it has to go to something on PlayStation, probably like Final Fantasy or something like that.
Bingo. Final
Or
Fantasy 7.
Was it Chrono? Like there was a Chrono something that also came out that
Yeah. Final
was really
Fantasy
cool. Yeah,
7's
but
in there
Final Fantasy.
too. That's two of the
Yeah.
three they have listed. You'll never guess the
Um,
third one that they put here. And I'm kind of baffled by it because I would have chosen another game in the 90s.
uh, what else can I think of?
I'll throw
Like,
out a game that I would have put in there, and I've seen it in the chat already. Ocarina of Time.
yeah, but Ocarina was not a like.
But
Yes, I agree. It's fantastic. It's top, but Zelda.
Zelda already
was
set
there.
the bar. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that already set the bar of what
Yeah.
Zelda was going to be. Uh, I'm trying to think of something that was genre defining, right? And
I'm going to tell you what they
Uh,
put there. They put Doom
go for it. Oh, you know what? They're probably
Doom.
right.
in the 90s.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because I think it was one of the first-person shooters like that.
Yeah, Wolfenstein was the
I
first,
wouldn't
I
have
think,
guessed it.
right? But I think Doom really pushed that envelope. So they're probably right. That probably is the one. But I want to say Wolfenstein came out first. But yeah, Doom I think is that one. That's interesting. That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, so the 2000s. Let's go from 2000 to 2010. I think they've got it right here too.
Again, are we talking like genre defining? For me, again,
Most
Halo,
influential is what they're saying.
Halo would be one of them. Because it kind of like brought FPS to console for me in a big way. I don't know if they had that one there or not, but then like there's the whole RPG scene and BioWare, and to me like Mass Effect just was like that peak, and that was in that like in that 2000.
I agree with you and Mason. Halo Combat Evolved should be here, but it's not.
But it's not. Okay, so then what is a genre defining thing that would have been in that time frame? Maybe
I'll give you one.
Okay,
Grand Theft
Scroll?
Auto 3 is on here. Grand Theft Auto 3 is on
Yeah,
here.
okay, that kind of makes sense. I can see that. GTA. Okay, yeah, okay. That makes sense. All right. And two more. And they didn't include Mass Effect. They didn't include Halo.
Just give me what you would put there as your most influential in the 2000s, early 2000s.
I mean, look, like there was also Mario Galaxy, which I loved. Um, but that Mario's already defined, right? So I don't think they would have that there. Uh, what else? Like, um, there was a lot of games in that time, and
Oh, I
like
know,
Assassin's
bro. In the
Creed,
2000s. It's crazy.
like, oh my goodness, like yeah, and it was probably like Xbox One, right? Or,
Skywalker, you actually have the number
yeah,
one game, World of Warcraft, in the early
two.
2000s.
Oh, there you go. World of Warcraft.
2004.
That was a big one. Yep. World of Warcraft was a big one.
That
Um,
defined like the MMO genre. It was like we've had
and big
MMOs before that, but
subscriptions,
they
right?
didn't hit like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And the other one that they have there, by the way, Wii Sports. Remember the Wii craze?
You know what? You
Wii
know what?
Sports was
I have to give
insane.
it to him. I have to give it to him. That's a
Everybody
big one.
had Wii Sports, bro. Me,
Everybody was playing it.
my grandma, I mean, everybody had
Yeah.
Wii
Oh
Sports.
yeah.
Like it was everywhere, dude. Everybody at everybody's house. Anytime you were at a party, they were playing Wii Sports, bro. Wii bowling, Wii baseball.
Had a freaking like
That
elderly
boxing
like
game
nursing
just made
home.
you so freaking tired, bro. It was just,
So
oh man.
yeah, it's a good one. So they had World of Warcraft,
World of Warcraft,
Wii
Grand Theft Auto
Sports,
3, and Wii
GTA 3, and
Sports.
then Wii Sports. Okay,
Yep,
interesting.
yep. So 2010s.
Uh,
This one's really interesting, and I don't know if I agree with this. I don't know.
so 2010s, Fortnite did come out, right? So you had PUBG and Fortnite. Those are obviously sort of a new genre thing that came up.
Fortnite is
Uh,
number one, yes.
yeah, so I'd say that has to be there. Um, like everything else is kind of established, right? So now I'm trying to think of things that weren't established. Um, yeah, this is gonna be a tough one, right? So like,
They have
you would think,
Minecraft here as well.
oh my, that makes sense.
Minecraft is a big one. It was very influential, and
Yeah,
it's still to this day a huge franchise.
yeah, I'll
The-
give it to them. That's a good
Now
one.
they have Angry Birds. Angry Birds is here, a mobile
Uh,
game,
I guess you have to
but
give
it
that
was
to them too,
huge,
because I think
bro.
it kind of took off.
It
It's like
did.
the entire mobile game thing became something because Angry Birds took off, right? No pun intended. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Right? You'd have to pick something in that genre to say, or in that arena to say something made the mobile games something substantial. So okay, and that
And the
company's still
last
around.
one
It's
that they
Rovio,
have,
was bought by Sega.
I don't know if I agree with this last one. We
Yeah.
Fit. We Fit. I I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know about that.
I don't think that was very influential because I don't think we Fit games or fit games today, fitness games in general, are really huge at all. Magnum,
At least
you
not
have
with
a
us.
good one. That's a good one, Magnum. Flappy Bird was huge back in the
Yeah.
2000s. Yeah, we
Yeah,
Fit.
I don't know
Yeah,
about that, man.
Mason. I don't think that should be on there. But
That one's an
I
odd one.
agree with
That's
everything
a
they've had
fourth?
so far.
Is that a fourth? So
Yes,
what do they have?
that's
They
a
had
fourth.
okay, yeah,
Fortnite,
so
Minecraft, Angry Birds, We Fit. The
the other ones,
2020s, that's currently,
the other ones I can see. The other ones I can see, but
yeah,
I
me
don't know
too.
about
The current
seems odd.
2020s, this is easy for me. I said the first one right away in my
So
head before.
2020s.
Yeah.
Hmm. So essentially
Most
it's current gen,
influential. Yeah.
right? Influential.
It's a weird
What
wording,
type of
right?
game?
Using influential. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it did influence a lot of other games. You got to look at it that way.
What influenced a whole bunch of other games? I mean, so there's always the copycats of like the extraction genre, the arena genre, right? Those kinds of shooters, the MOBAs.
Marsh got one. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is there.
Okay. I mean, I would say the progenitor of that was actually Zelda, but of course they're not going to count Zelda because Breath of the Wild because it's Zelda, right? So,
Actually, they have Breath of the Wild there.
oh, they do.
They do.
Okay.
Legend of Zelda, Breath of the
Okay, so
Wild,
Breath of the Wild,
Elden Ring, and
I
there's
wouldn't
one
expect
more they
Zelda
have listed.
either. Yeah, really.
And it's
Is it
surprising and not surprising.
Baldur's Gate 3?
No,
Like what else? I don't know. What is
they have Cyberpunk 2077 here. And I don't know if that would be one of the most influential. It's one of the greats, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it as being very influential. And
Yeah,
see,
I don't
I
buy
think
that.
Elden Ring is a good call out, but I think they should have put the first Souls game out there in the 2000s rather than Elden Ring. Because I think the Souls games kind of define the genre and all the copycat, they influence so many games,
Yeah.
including Elden Ring.
Instead of Wii Fit, I would have definitely said
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Instead of Wii Fit.
A much better call out. I don't know about that. I like Cyberpunk, great game, but I would have said Witcher 3 is more defining than Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't
Witcher
see
3 could have
Cyberpunk
been a
as the
bigger.
defining one.
I think you're right on that,
Uh,
man.
I don't know.
I think Witcher 3 should have been in the 2010s instead of Wii
Yeah.
Fit. Damn it. Like it should have been Witcher 3.
But I agree with you. Actually, like the entire genre of Soulsborne, right? The whole
Yeah, they should have
Bloodborne
started
and
with the
Souls
Souls.
games. That is like Dark Souls is probably a good call out. That is probably or Bloodborne or one of those, right? Those are good call outs. I think that would have been much
Yeah, it
more
was definitely like a
call-out
fun
than
little
Wii Fit.
article that I read that I was like, huh, let me play along with
Yeah.
the chat and you, because I don't know, it's cool to think of some of these older games again, you know. I in the 80s for me it was Pac-Man immediately. Like when we moved to this country in 1981, my uncle had an Atari 2600 and he had Pac-Man. That was the first game I played. That was the first video game I ever touched. Because I don't remember, because I lived in the Philippines for years, and I don't remember going to any arcades there. So when I came to the States, that was my first taste of a video game. And I fell in love with Pac-Man. I played that thing so many times, just loved it. And yeah, so in the 80s, that definitely would be on my list. In the 90s, it was definitely Street Fighter 2. There was so many times. I used to walk home from school in high school, and me and my buddy, we would always go to this one mini mart on the way home, and they had a Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition arcade unit in there, and we would go in there and just play. And I remember the owner, he would get irritated, and I'm like, will you put this in here for kids to play? Because so many kids would go in there to play the game, and he'd have too many kids in the store, and he'd get kind of huffy and puffy and just like irritated. And one day he accused one of my friends of stealing a sandwich. And it's like, what are you talking about? My friend took all the stuff out of his backpack. He's like, I didn't steal no fucking sandwich. You know, it was just, I don't know. It was just
For
crazy.
fun,
But
same thing. We literally did the same thing. It was in our bowling alley. We had like
Yeah.
a put up a room on the side that had all the arcade games.
yeah,
Every day after school, we'd walk over there and play Street Fighter. It's just the way it is. That's absolutely like I'm sure a lot of people have the same story. Street Fighter was just crazy. It was so good.
dude, Street Fighter 2, especially Championship Edition, was just phenomenal. We played that thing daily, Monday through Friday. I remember we would hit it up on the way home every time, me and my buddy. And I wasn't very good at it. I was okay, but my buddy was like freaking fantastic at it. So, you know, he'd whoop my ass, and then of course other people would put their quarters on the machine, and they'd, you know, get their turn to get their ass whooped too. And by my buddy, and we would just go round and round spending quarters. And we'd be there for like up to 2 hours sometimes just playing the game before we went home. And sometimes my mom would get mad, you know, why are you home so late? It's like, you're playing them damn video games again, aren't you? Like, yeah, I was. But dude, kids today just don't understand. Like, it was a different time, man. It was just man, I loved the arcades. I loved it back in the day. And sure, we still have like Dave and Buster's and stuff like that, but
It's not the same thing though.
it's not the same.
Because now
It's not
we
like
get
the
all that at
local.
home. We can
Yeah,
do all that, right? So then it was like you couldn't do that at home, right? They
dude. Yeah,
finally brought that to the Super Nintendo.
I'm
like,
glad
oh,
you brought that up because back in the day, the graphics you would get from an arcade machine were unheard of at home. You could not get those.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the Neo Geo got the home
Exactly.
system with those big cartridges. I mean, they were massive, guys, and they were like $100 to $200 a piece. Like,
Yep.
they were freaking expensive, and I couldn't afford one.
But that was like the 1-to-1 to arcade, right? Neo Geo.
Yeah,
But, like,
it was-
Neo Geo itself was it like
dude.
$900 for the console or something ridiculous?
It was crazy,
It
bro.
was so expensive. You're like, okay,
and
whatever.
those games, I used to love those SNK games, like
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Okay.
The Shadow, what is it called? It eludes me. The fighting game, the SNK fighting game, the big franchise. Samurai Showdown. That's it. I loved Samurai Showdown so much, man. It was such a good game. Man. Yeah. But anyways, I loved pinball games too. Did you ever play pinball? Pinball was so much fun. I still love pinball games.
I played every now and then, like if you got bored waiting for your turn on.
Pinball games are fun. Even today, I like a good pinball game. They're not all equal though. There's a lot of shitty pinball games out there, but there is some good classic, like the Twilight Zone. If I see the Twilight Zone, classic Twilight Zone pinball machine, I will play it every time. I love it. I love the little sounds. Doo 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 doo. Like everything that they play while you're playing that game is just phenomenal. I love it. But yeah, there's lots of good pinball machines. But yeah, G.I. Joe had a great arcade game back then. God, there's so many good games. Chat. Yes, I know I'm old. Pragmatic Eagle says that's because you're old, Fonz. Yeah, it's true. I am, but come on, man. Those are still fun. I could play an old pinball game more than I can play an old 2D sprite-based, like 8-bit game today, you know? Like, I'm not so interested in the older games anymore, the retro video games, but pinball, definitely can play some old pinball games. Love it. Magnum, I've not heard of Fishtails. What's Fishtails? That's a good one. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and close the show out because I've got some stuff to do tonight. But I had a great time today talking about games and talking about, just reminiscing on old stuff. It's always a good time. Love Samurai Showdown. I see that, Roshan. Yeah, Samurai Showdown was excellent. It was my favorite fighting game outside of Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition. I did not like most of the Street Fighter games even after that. Like, they got too weird for me. I liked the Championship Edition, and that was it. But
Speaking of old games, we did just get the retro thing on Xbox, which is kind of interesting, but it's
Which
really
one?
just you don't know, like on Game Pass they put out a thing called Retro Arcade. Is that what they called it? Basically, it's a whole bunch of the older Activision games that are now available on PC and on console as part of Game Pass. But it's using Ant streams. You could they basically curated 50 or so of them so far. They're gonna bring more and more and more. But yeah, so they just added that in to allow you to access those games. It's kind of fun to actually go back to see. So they have some of the Sierra games. They have some of the older like Atari games.
Oh boy, Sierra. That brings back memories, bro.
Yeah, exactly, right? Some older games. So, but yeah, there's 50 of the older games that are available now. You just download the Retro Arcade thing if you want, and I think it's what they call it, Retro Games or Retro Arcade, something like that. And basically, you just can stream whichever one of those games you want to. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, because Sierra was taken over by Activision, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it was Vivendi who then got bought out, right, by Activision. So.
Man, Sierra games. You had Manhunter, you had freaking King's Quest, you had so many different games.
They haven't put the King's Quest in there, but they had Police Quest, they had Space Quest, they had
Police Quest,
Glory.
bro. Man, I wish I had more time, but Police Quest, I used to play the shit out of that. Like, And
Yeah.
I was a little kid at the time, and there was some kind of like adult things that would be said within Police Quest, but I remember playing it just giggling to myself at my friend's house. Matter of fact, it was his dad's game, his computer, but me and him would be playing Police Quest and just laughing. Anyways,
So much,
um,
so much fun stuff, right?
yeah. Anyways, guys, got to get out of here. Got some things to do, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Hargeet, as always. Let everybody know where they can find you, your book, your channel. And I did check out your videos that you made of PAX East. Good stuff. Gave a like on those. Appreciate the time and effort. So yeah, check him out there, guys. He'll definitely give you his channel.
Yeah, so if you want to subscribe to my channel, HargeetChani1 on YouTube. Again, if you want to pick up my book, shop.chani.us. I'll be on with Web Dave tomorrow at 7 p.m. US Eastern on Web Dave's channel, and then with Boom on Wednesday, 7 p.m. US Eastern Time on Double Barrel Gaming, and with See Money and Doodle on Friday at 8-ish, somewhere around there p.m. Eastern Time on Point for Gamers. Check that out. We'll be back next week. We'll see whatever
For
fun
sure.
things come up. We're getting closer to June showcase time. I'm sure there'll be more leaks and stuff going on, right? So we'll probably
Dude,
get more
it should have
information as
already
we get
been happening. We should have had more leaks already this week, but it hasn't happened. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully next week we get a
Yeah.
fun-filled show full of leaks and everything. And then, of course,
got
the
the
next
watch
week
party.
we probably won't be there because, Hargeet, you're not going to be here the following weekend. You're going to be down. in-
So I'll be over there exactly.
Yeah.
So
So next week will be our pre-show. That'll be our pre-show.
Then I'll be out in LA doing all the fun stuff, right? So I got an action-packed weekend. Starting with Summer Games Fest and all the Play Day stuff. We're doing a whole bunch of checkouts of games and stuff that's coming up, and then we have, of course, the showcase party that we're hosting. So,
Are they having anything that Saturday at all out there?
as far as what Xbox
Like,
or just
no, just like
Play Days is happening.
okay, so the
Yeah.
same thing.
So there's
Yeah.
Play Days, there's IGN Live, which is
Yeah.
the weekend, right? So you have IGN Live, but there's Play Days, which is there's stuff hosted by both IGN and by Jeff Keighley to go over new things that are coming up, right? So there'll be like sort of media interaction with upcoming games. So
Cool thing is
those
the
are
week
in that,
after
so
you'll be back and you'll be able to talk about everything you've done, seen, heard,
that's
and
not
of course,
under NDA. Yes.
and of course, we'll get to find out how your event went. This will be the first time that
Yeah.
the Fan
So we're
Fest will
hosting
be run by Hargeet and friends, and that is
Yes,
so
fun
cool.
fans.
That is so
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
It's a true fan fest, a true fan
Yep,
fest.
exactly.
So that's cool. With that said, I want to just thank everybody for coming out today live. Thank everybody for listening to the show after the fact. I do try to get it out by Monday afternoon. If I hadn't, and I forget for some reason, because I got to wait for YouTube to do its stupid algorithm thing, or not algorithm, processing thing. Once that goes through, sometimes it's 18 hours, then I put it up.
Wow.
If I forget tomorrow, after that's done, hit me up, DM me, say, hey, it's not on Spotify, and I'll go ahead and do that for you. Because once I put it on Spotify, it goes out to every other streaming application out there. Anyways, with that said, I hope everybody has a good week. And until next time, game on, people.